All architecture is great architecture after sunset. Perhaps architecture is really a nocturnal art, like the art of fireworks. Additionally, I think architecture is silent music. It means that architecture needs to melt into a part of life naturally, just supporting people's lives silently. Further, Norman Foster says architecture is an expression of value. If the value includes fundamental things for human beings, I strongly agree with it. So my name is Sooseok Kim, and I am a South Korean architect who lives in London. In terms of London City Hall, it's quite monument building. Actually, to minimize the surface area for maximum energy efficiency, providing natural shading from the most intense direct sunlight. The deep plan floors allow for the collection of heat at the building's core, which can then be redirected to its periphery. The Shard is one of the most controversial buildings in London. Many people blame it as rubbish, but after a few years, they became one of the representative buildings in London. The British Museum is one of the most monument buildings in field of sustainable architecture. Light is one of the most critical features in design of museum. The architect actually applied concept of a huge winter garden between the entrance and main hall. The hall actually acts as a buffer space between inside and outside. And this form of hall actually has many advantages to attract refresh air from outside to inside via the difference of air pressure. So of Tate Britain's spiral staircase. These precedents demonstrate how the modern architecture could be good background for traditional buildings. It looks quite elegant with transparent material. It has been designed from outside to inside. This kind of methodology is quite an opposite way with the traditional and architectural ways. It's a bit abstract and it's quite close to the psychology or behavior of people. So I think that architects need to study about the psychology more and about people's behavior, how they act actually when they alone or with people.
I think it's about a childhood memory. And my hometown is still in Taiwan. And our family actually, we used to be very poor, and my parents were working very hard. So we moved from a very small place, a rented house, to the house owned by us.
I'm not sure I told you before about the history, why I became an architect and why I chose London. I have some different background with others. Unfortunately, I have no place to get back because of my childhood place and then my home and school. I mean, all towns have been demolished by a blind plan of government. Ironically, I applied to the architectural practice at Samo Architects, which led the blind plan to change something for my disappeared town. That was kind of struggling to memorize and respect my place as an architect. I usually enjoy doing a work in the midnight and dawn, since the silence helps me to concentrate very well. The most important thing I need to concentrate on at the moment is how this building secure a view to the sea, the horizontal lines, and even sunset or sunrise, everything's from above these lines. And I think if by this way, this building never disturb the view from the people to seaside, because this kind of method is quite useful to attract the wind from seaside through the buildings. The solar radiations reflected from the ground level to the buildings. This heat the buildings itself. In this case, in winter season, the heating cost will be reduced. I think this kind of things has been discovered in many traditional architectural buildings in Korea. I strongly believe the power of effort. There is some notion in Korean, it called as Sooseok It means that continuous water drops make hole in a stone at the end.